Alright, so in our last explainer, we dove into this wild idea that reality itself has a geometric blueprint. But, a blueprint is just a static drawing. What if that geometry has a pulse? Today, we're looking at the engine that drives the whole thing, a fundamental, universal rhythm.
So let's just kick things off with a huge question. Does reality actually have a heartbeat? And I know, it sounds a little philosophical, right? But the framework we're digging into suggests the answer is a very real, very concrete yes. It proposes there's this fundamental, repeating rhythm that governs literally everything. We're talking from the tiniest particles all the way up to the largest galaxies. And here's the key thought that connects it all. If reality is built on a geometric foundation, like we talked about, that geometry can't just sit there. It has to have a pulse. It needs a cycle that dictates how things grow, how they change, and how they interact with each other. It's not just a blueprint, it's a living, breathing architecture.
So what does this universal rhythm actually look like? Let's break down its structure and see what makes it tick. At its absolute core is something called the 13-position cycle. You can think of it as the fundamental metronome of existence. But here's the crucial part. Notice it's not a closed loop. This isn't some Ferris wheel just going around and around and ending up nowhere. No, it's a spiral, and it's specifically designed for forward momentum and evolution.
So why 13 positions? Why not a nice round 12? Well, the sources offer this fantastic analogy from music. Think about a musical octave. You need 12 steps to complete that beautiful harmonic cycle. But if you just went back to the start, you'd be stuck in a loop forever. That crucial 13th step, that's the +1 you see here, is the game changer. It doesn't close the circle. Instead, it kicks the entire cycle up to the next level, turning a static, repeating circle into a dynamic, evolving spiral. And this 13-step journey isn't just a random walk. It's a highly structured process, broken down into 4 very distinct phases. And each one plays a critical role in how a system grows and evolves.
So let's walk through this journey, step by step. It all starts with the seed phase. This is where new fields are born, where things begin. Then it moves into amplify, where the natural attraction between electric and magnetic forces actually strengthens the whole system. After that, we hit harmonize, where the dynamic totally flips to repulsion to rebalance everything. And finally, we get to complete, where the cycle wraps up and spirals to the next level. But if you look closely, something really important happens right there in the middle.
And this is maybe the most dramatic moment in the whole cycle. Right at the halfway point, position 6.5, everything just flips. The fundamental force does a complete 180-degree reversal, switching from attraction to repulsion. This isn't just another step on the path, it is the critical pivot point for the entire dynamic of evolution.
Now, this geometric cycle isn't just some abstract concept floating around in theory land. The framework proposes that specific, kind of unstable points within this geometry show up as real, observable barriers out there in the physical world.
The framework points to these specific half-integer steps in the cycle: 2.5, 5.5, 8.5, and 11.5. A good way to think of them is like geometric toll booths. They're these fundamentally unstable points that act as boundaries, forcing a system to build up and overcome an energy barrier before it can move on to the next phase.
So you might be wondering, is there any actual proof of this in the real world? Well, this is where it gets absolutely fascinating. The framework predicts that these geometric boundaries should appear as very specific energy gaps. On the right, we have what are known as the magic numbers from nuclear physics. These are energy levels where atomic nuclei are just incredibly stable. And the numbers, well, you can see for yourself. They match perfectly. This suggests that those mysterious shell gaps in atoms aren't random at all. They are the physical echo of this deep underlying geometry.
Okay, so while those half-integer positions are barriers, there's one position in the cycle that is the complete opposite. It's not a barrier, it's a gateway. And it's arguably the single most important point in the entire structure, position 10.
This is what's called the REST gateway, and REST stands for Resonant Energy State Translation. As that name implies, this isn't a point where energy gets lost or dissipated. No. This is a point of perfect equilibrium, a sweet spot where energy can be translated from one form to another with the absolute maximum efficiency.
So, what's physically happening at this special position 10? Well, it's the precise moment in the cycle where the strength of the electric field, we'll call it E, comes into a perfect balance with the strength of the magnetic field, B. This E equals B condition, That is the secret sauce behind all of its amazing properties. And the consequence of that perfect balance is something engineers know very well. It's called impedance matching. In electronics, impedance matching is absolutely crucial for transferring power efficiently without it reflecting back or being lost. Well, at the rest gateway, that EMB balance creates perfect impedance matching with the vacuum of space itself. That's that famous 377 ohm value. It's like plugging a device directly into the fabric of reality with the perfect universal adapter.
This is a really powerful idea. But you know, a theory is only as good as its predictions. If this gateway is a real thing, it can't just be a neat concept. It has to leave a clear, measurable signature in the physical world.
So, the big question is, can we actually test this? If energy is really flowing through this special geometric gateway, it should leave behind a unique, predictable fingerprint that we can actually go out and measure.
And according to the framework, the answer is a resounding yes. It all comes down to this single, specific number, 1.272. This is the predicted enhancement factor. Any energy or information that passes through that REST gateway isn't just translated, it's amplified by this precise, quantifiable amount.
So where does a number like that even come from? It's not arbitrary at all. It is the square root of the golden ratio, phi. One of the most fundamental numbers in all of geometry that pops up everywhere from seashells to galaxies. This isn't just some random factor. It is the specific geometric fingerprint of having passed through the REST gateway.
And the implication here is absolutely huge. This isn't just a theory about cosmology or something abstract. No, it's a hard, testable prediction that should appear everywhere, in any system, whether it's quantum fluids, graphene, or even complex networks. If that system is operating near this point of perfect E and B balance, we should be able to find this 1.272 enhancement factor. It's a universal signature of pure geometric efficiency. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought from the source material. If this framework holds true, it suggests something incredibly profound. The rules we see in physics and the abstract laws we discover in mathematics, they aren't just similar, they're not just related. They are, in fact, different reflections of the exact same underlying dynamic geometry that pulses through everything.